with Guess the Game, where we're going to be playing games 91 to 120 today, and I'm really excited because it's been a while since we did the last one, and we actually performed pretty well the last time, by my recollection. It was one of the best we've ever done. Although that was only, the third episode of us playing this game, but it was one of the best we've ever done, so as always, feel free to start on the same game that I'm playing and play along with me, and see if you can guess it before I do. I reckon there are a few for which you will be able to quite easily. And let's do this! Game 90 is where we ended last time with glory to our Statska. Game 91 is... Oh no. Okay, interesting. So my mind says sports game immediately, because we're looking at sort of like a naturalistic environment, and there's a big icon that says, great! As though you just, did a good golf shot or something. It almost looks like we could be on a golf field, doesn't it? We're looking really low res at the moment. It's certainly not anything I recognize off the bat. Or off the club, should I say? Anyway, let's just see what happens if I search golf. Swing away, golf. Definitely. Oh, it's Pokemon Go. Never mind. My apologies. I did not realize. Okay, you know what? Now I see it. This is like one of the catching animations where it's nighttime and in a wooded area, and then it's just like, great, when you throw the Pokeball. I gotcha. Right. I mean, this is a pretty telling shot. If you know anything about Pokemon, you would at least know it is a Pokemon game at this point. Well, there you go. What were the other ones they were going to give us? I didn't realize this had such a low Metacritic score. Yeah, here you go. Oh, no, sorry, it wasn't necessarily a ball-throwing sequence as much as a battle sequence we were looking at. Nevertheless, 92. Ooh, interesting. Once again, we're looking at a space game. I feel like we looked at one similar to this earlier, right? And I didn't know what it was. We already had Spore, right? This isn't the opening sequence of Spore. Any chance it's Halo? Should I guess Halo again? I'm gonna guess Halo again. Looks a little farther along than Halo 1, I would have said. So Halo 2? No? Oh, but I'm on the right track that it's space and aliens and stuff. That almost looks like something out of Dead Space, except the visuals don't look high fidelity enough to be Dead Space, sorry. It doesn't quite look like something out of Star Wars. It looks a bit too menacing and horrible for that. Oh, I'm not too well versed in sci-fi, not that I'm especially well versed in anything, I wouldn't say. Even though I'm a big fan of fantasy, there's plenty of fantasy stuff I have not seen. I'm trying to figure out based on the visuals, what console this is probably on. A Metacritic score of 97%. You'd think it's probably something I've heard of. I almost said Doom 3, but that wasn't very well liked, was it? I didn't think so anyway. Based on the visuals, I'm tempted to say it looks... Well, I don't know. I'm not quite an expert on that sort of thing. Because what it looks like to me is like a bit better than a PS2 era, but worse than PS3 era, which makes me say I guess it is PS2 era, but it's just Xbox or something, because it had a bit more power. So I'm like, what kind of Xbox alien-y game from that time period? And it's not Halo. Because it does look a bit too horror to be Halo, doesn't it? Now, we already had Dead Space 1, and it certainly isn't Dead Space 2. It does not look good enough for that. Doom 3 is probably the best guess I've got, even though I'm pretty sure that was earlier. Oh! I can't believe I didn't realize it was Metroid Prime until just now. Well, it's either Prime or Prime 2 anyway. Damn! I played that game, and I didn't... Okay, I can get me not noticing it from this, because this is like the opening cutscene, which is, you don't spend a lot of time doing. I knew I recognized it as the thing. Okay, yeah, that's obviously Metroid now that I'm looking at it. This is like totally a Metroid kind of monster. Bugger! And the 97 Metacritic score should have tipped me off earlier. Dang, I really like that game. I'm kind of ashamed I didn't get that earlier. This is a pretty dead giveaway, though, that it's a Metroid Prime. Ooh, interesting. Once again, we have something spacey. It looks, I would say, like a contemporary game trying to look like an old game. I'm thinking like something 2010s indie strategy, maybe? A 2010s indie strategy space game does not sound like something I'm likely to guess. Ooh. You got me. I genuinely have no guesses as to what this could be. It has the vibe of indie. Let me forward it by one. Upgrades, crew, equipment, burst laser. I think I might have seen this game played, but I don't think I'll know what it's called. Meteo Strike or something? Meteos. Sectors, civilian sectors, so it's some kind of... Wait, it's not like a Star... Well, it won't be a StarCraft. It visually does not look like one, but it's that sort of thing, I suppose? Maybe there'll be a clue somewhere in one of these next clues. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen this played, but I don't think I'll remember the name. 2012, okay, as I figured. It's like a multiplayer strategy game where you set up a ship and then you have to defend yourself from invaders and stuff, right? Called, Faster Than Light. Okay, yeah. I definitely knew the name. Wasn't going to stick it to this. I knew the name and I'd seen footage, but I didn't have them married in my head, so I was never going to get it, but I'm vaguely familiar with it. Cool. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Mucho interesting. So this is looking pre-rendered to me. I doubt this is actually a landscape across which you can walk. This looks like a cutscene of some kind. I don't know who those bunch are. It almost looks like it could be the opening to a Final Fantasy game, doesn't it? Big wasteland area. Quasi-fantastical. It could be one of the newer Final Fantasies where they kind of go like half fantasy, half modern. Let's go Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy, let's see which one comes up first. Oh, it's just the first one, so it's probably not Final Fantasy. 14! The one with Noctis and whatever. Not a Final Fantasy? Oh, never mind. So that looked like some kind of pre-rendered cutscene, and this looks to be gameplay. From an isometric angle. Maybe this will be one of the early Fallouts? It does look like it could be a Fallout, doesn't it, with all the dead plant life and everything. Fallout. Fallout? It's not a Fallout. Yeah, we're looking a little more fantasy, actually, with this. We're looking like armor here. Weapons, swords, and shields. So Elder Scrolls was also something I was thinking. Or like one of those... Oh, I just never remember the names of them. But those overhead, like, D&D likes from the 90s. Original platform PC. 0 gold of a maximum of 60,000. Some scrolls down there could be for loading spells. It kind of smacks of Elder Scrolls to me. Elder Scrolls 2, maybe? Not quite, but I think I'm along the right situation. Diablo 1? Did we already have Diablo 1? Oh, it is Diablo. So I guess it'll be Diablo 2, because Diablo 3 is much more new looking. Diablo 2! Definitely not an area of expertise of mine. I was not going to guess that from this also. This looks a lot more... Looks a lot better than 2000 anyway. I guess it's a low-res screenshot, so it's hard to tell, but even for a pre-rendered cutscene, I was like, this is 2010s at the earliest. It's another situation where my technical knowledge ain't helping me out so much. Oh, 1,000-year door. Lovely. Oh, fine. I'll type 1,000-year. There we go. Thank you. I'd recognize the Rogueport docks anywhere. Let's see what other ones they would have given us. There's Twilight Town. Far Outpost. Bowser. Chewing out Cammy. Mario and Goombella in the Rogueport sewers. And Mario fighting Gus. Lovely. Grand game, that. Oh, that's cool, because this, so the remake came out this year, right? But this was 2 years before that. I bet this, I bet someone involved with the making of Guess the Game was quite excited when that remake came out. I know I was. Interesting. Once again, I'm thinking this looks a bit like a modern game with a slightly deliberately antiquated style. The lighting is gorgeous. And there's beautiful... It's not quite a pixel art style on the ground there, but it almost could be. Once again, viewing it isometrically... Yeah, that should help a lot, because like, how many games do I know that are actually played from an... Like a diagonal isometric angle these days? It's not many. I don't get the sense I'm going to know this one. I certainly have no guesses from this, although it should be giving me a lot of information. It looks like perhaps a sci-fi fantasy setting. We're in some big grand hall with a bunch of statues and like maps on the floor and stuff. Oh, you'd think this would tell me a lot. Okay, so what we have is some kind of big neon city in the background. It looks like the silhouette of a character down here. Oh boy. I mean, this has the feel of something that it's got such a deliberate art style that you couldn't possibly not know what it was looking at this. I almost wanted to say Deltarune, just because of the silhouette. It almost looks like a Deltarune Undertale kind of character, except none of the rest of this looks like that kind of art style. The vibe I'm getting is like a futuristic game where you play as some kind of like vigilante, because everything looks it looks a little dystopian here with all like the super bright towers in the background, and then things look a little more sinister and rough in the foreground. So I'm thinking dystopia, I'm thinking side-scroller, I'm thinking you play as some kind of like robot ninja. And that's about all I've got from this. Oh, never mind. It's a bit less 2D than I initially thought, which I thought it was like a bit more 3D from this. But then this made me think, oh, it feels like a side-scroller. Now I'm back to it feeling like this is clearly a place you walk on. This isn't Bastion, is it? Nope. Not even close. Genre RPG. Disco Elysium? Nope. I don't think I know this one. Supergiant Games. Oh. Wait, I should know that then. Not Bastion, but... Oh, crap. Tell me. Transistor. Literally, they're next to each other in my list of games to play. Damn it! I just couldn't bring to mind the name, but I think when I was guessing Bastion, I was on the right track. That's the same developer, right? Supergiant. Are they Bastion, Transistor, and Hades? Have I got that right? Yeah. It even looks like the same genre as Hades as well. Kind of like an action RPG. I just, of the three of them, Bastion, Hades, and Transistor, and Pyre, or the four of those are four. I can count. Transistor and Pyre were not coming to me. Bugger. Okay, never mind. We're not doing quite as well as last episode this time. I do have some major blind spots in like the 2010 indie scene and everything 2020 and beyond, really. Indie and AAA. I play games slow, alright? I like to take my time with them and play old ones too. What we're looking at here, I can't tell if those are supposed to be stars or if it's meant to be snow, but with a bunch of different lighting effects on it. You know what I mean? Like if it's snow falling, but all these different weird like lights. They look like almost like airport runway lights are like bouncing off them. The colors make me think much more of stars. The thing that's tripping me up there is that if they are stars, then that would mean that we're looking out some kind of window here, probably. In which case, you would wonder why the stars are visible through this big column here, or whatever it's supposed to be. I suppose it could be... When did Final Fantasy VII Remake come out? Because it could be that. There's like a scene in the original where you're looking through like a hologram to space. So this could be like a hologram of buildings and you're looking through them at space. I don't think I have enough information to say that, though. I certainly don't recognize it. I think the next screenshot will help me a lot because it'll tell me... It'll be likely to tell me whether I'm right that this is a space setting. Or if it's more like dark, grisly, industrial snow falling around weird runway lights. But I don't have a strong guess at the moment. My best thoughts are Halo, like maybe we're looking out into space somehow and this is like a see-through column or something, or Final Fantasy VII Remake. I want to guess like Halo 4. It's not a Halo. Okay, maybe a slightly more grounded setting we're looking at here. Garbage bin with a bunch of discarded ideas, and this looks pre-rendered, I would have said. Does not appear to be being rendered in real time. Or if it is, it looks very, very good. So I'm thinking this looks more like a point-and-click game from the 90s or something? These two screenshots look nothing alike to me. I'm trying to think of any games I could even bring to mind that just this screenshot makes sense for. But thinking about any games that these two screenshots together make sense for. I have a bad feeling I'm going to be on a losing streak this episode. 85% Metacritic score, so not generally considered a bad game by any means. Maybe not legendarily good, according to the masses, but I don't rightly know. I think I'm going to need the next one, friends. Oh, PS5, PS4. It's a Dervin. You do some Dervin in this game. Oh, will it be like Heavy Rain or something big in story? Or maybe Alan Wake? These are ripped up ideas for his storybook. Let's try Heavy Rain. That wasn't only on PS5 and PS4 though, was it? Action adventure. Just Cause? I certainly am not recognizing this. PS5 and PS4. Original platform, it says. That makes it sound like it was a dual release when it came out. So that's somewhat in the past, like 5 years or something. It won't be like Uncharted 4, which were released on PS4, that they then ported to PS5. Original platform, PS5, PS4. So, God, what games do I know that released on PS5 and PS4? Action adventure. Just Cause is primarily on Xbox, I thought. So it can't be that, but this grappling hook. Oh, unless this is... Oh, this will be like Gotham Knights or something like that, won't it? This is like someone drawing a superhero outfit for themselves? Or like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League or whatever it is, right? Because this looks like... This could be like a superhero with a grappling hook. Gotham Knights? Oh, it's Spider-Man Miles Morales. Wowza. These are some sneaky screenshots. I wasn't going to get Spider-Man from... So I guess this is snow falling, because it takes place around Christmas, right? This is snow falling in, like, New York, and we're looking at, like, the foundation of some bridge right up here. So I was right the first time with my guess about it being snow. I guess that would mean this wasn't pre-rendered then. Damn, it looks good. At first I thought this was pre-rendered from some, like, 90s point-and-click thing. Yeah, I wasn't getting Spider-Man from this. I probably should have gotten Spider-Man from this, although it looked less like web and more like a... It looks so thick, I thought it was like a grappling hook cord. But yeah, this one's pretty hard to miss. It's got a Miles in it. Oh, then you can see his face. That'll make it even easier. I haven't played the Spider-Man games on PlayStation. Like the newer, the Marvel Spider-Man series. Heard many good things. Someday on the channel surely. Ah, now what we have here, this looks a little more 90s point and click, does it not? It looks like we've got, like, again, pre-rendered images here. Huh. Which is helpful to a point. It could almost be Star Wars-y, couldn't it? Like, this could almost be like the top of some kind of big one of those big sci-fi like apartment complexes, and we're looking out over a city. This is some big weird coil. But it could be one of those. There were plenty of point-and-click games in the 90s, and I guess even before, about like weird like sci-fi horror things, like I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, Day of the Tentacle, and that sort of thing. I'm gonna go Star Wars. It's a big series that's kind of sci-fi, which is what this sort of looks like that we can roll out. 1313. I got no idea what Star Wars game it would be if it were one, but it isn't, and this is looking a lot more anime all of a sudden. It's this, like, you can sort of see things being like blocked off into little squares here. That made me think it was like some kind of pre-rendered point-and-click thing, but this looks almost a bit more like an RPG. I guess it could be a Final Fantasy. I have not played 8, 9, or 10. Well, 10 is, I think, fully 3D. But I think 8 and 9 maybe do the same. Well, 8, at least, I would wager, does the same thing as 7, where it's like pre-rendered backgrounds for everything. Let's go for... Unless this is Final Fantasy 7, but I don't think so. I don't remember this from Final Fantasy 7. Final Fantasy 8. Okay, decent guess on my part. Because I was like, pre-rendered background here is what it looks like to me. Fantasy setting, maybe. And then I was like, okay, this looks like a Final Fantasy summon. And I was like, but it's not Final Fantasy 7 because I'd recognize this area. And I assume Final Fantasy 8 does the same thing where it's like 3D characters on pre-rendered backgrounds. And the rest was history. That was some decent guesswork on my part. This, I feel like I should recognize. Distinctive art style, pixel art. I'm not quite sure what we're looking at, though. It's either a person who's like made of silver, like a robot, or it's some kind of statue. It looks like they're like buried amongst glyphs and stuff. Could it be like some kind of Indiana Jones game for like the Sega Genesis or something? The Infernal Machine, of course. Too old for Metacritic. Not Indiana Jones. I couldn't tell you what we're looking at here. Maybe a Civ game? Do we already have Civ 1? No, but I'm on the right track. Oh, unless this is Street Fighter, right? Because you like go around the world in Street Fighter, except the map is a bit more colorful, isn't it? Although it does say arcade. Maybe it is Street Fighter. Or maybe it's like King of Fighters or something. I have a big blind spot with the old Street Fighter games. It is a Street Fighter. Oh, this will be Street Fighter 2 then. Okay. I recognize it from this. Not from any of that other stuff. Street Fighter 2? Yeah. The World Warrior. So this will be like from a cutscene in someone's arcade mode, I guess. This will be from the background of a cutscene from someone's arcade mode. Or maybe one of the stages even. It looks a little too low res for that, doesn't it? This will be like the character select screen where like you select a character and it like shows you where they live on the map. I think that's the thing that happens in Street Fighter, and this is clearly actually a fight sequence with, is that E Honda? I'm not great with the Street Fighter characters. A big boat says Capcom in the background. Hard to get wrong at this point when they tell you it's a fighting game, but I bet if you played the arcade a lot, you would recognize whatever this still is from. Liberty! Arkansas? Armin? I'm not sure what that says. Okay, so we're looking like post-apocalyptic, wandering around the States. Doesn't quite look like Last of Us 2 to me, although it could almost be Jackson, right? So my mind goes to Fallout. It takes place in the States, right? I think. I'm actually not sure about that. Probably it does. Fallout or... This is game 100 as well, so you might expect they do something cute for that. Like it might be a game for which the number 100 is significant. Looking at the background, we have a lot of dead trees, but it doesn't look like cold, like winter, which is what makes me think the kind of apocalypse where the environment has not come off the better, which makes me think Fallout. It's probably a decent first guess. It could also be like some Call of Duty map, I guess. It's just hard to say it with this much information, unless, of course, you'd seen it. What would be the newest Fallout? 76 is supposed to look good, but not be very good. Oh no, hold on a moment. Is this like Assassin's Creed 3 or something? This looks a lot more like we're in the past. Maybe that one particular area was just a bit desolate. Nichols prison? Oh, a prison. With big old cannons on top of it. It could be Assassin's Creed. It looks a bit too good for Assassin's Creed is kind of what I'm thinking. That was a bit on the older side. Let me have that look at that first one again, now that I have the context that it's probably actually in the past, rather than being run down. Liberty... Athena? Liberty, Arkansas? I don't know what this says. What it looks like is A-H-A-E-N-A square bracket. 3? L? Oh, no. N-A-L, this looks like kind of now. arsenal? Oh, is there a person in that watchtower? Interesting. But the real thing that's making me think time period is these cannons. They look so old-fashioned and all. Oh, I suppose it's not necessarily Assassin's Creed 3. It could be Assassin's Creed Black Flag, except no, we already had that, didn't we? I was just thinking this looks a bit piratey. But Assassin's Creed 3 takes place in the States, does it not? Let's give that a whirl. All right, it's not that. This is okay. So now actually it is looking a little more modern, isn't it? These guns look a bit more slick and modern. So is it like reverting? It's like a Horizon Zero Dawn adjacent idea where we're like reverting to old-timey traditions and stuff. I don't know why this is making me think Killzone. I know nothing about Killzone, but just what I'm looking at here, my mind is just screaming Killzone at me and won't leave me alone. It's not that, it's zombies. Oh, is this, crap, Plague Hunt or whatever it's called? Plague? Plague Tale Innocence, Plague Road, Plague Inc., none of those. Hunt Showdown? Yes, Hunt Showdown. I've seen that played a few times. It's a like a multiplayer open world thing with zombies and sort of like this kind of like mixing of like 1800s or 1700s or whatever architecture and technology and stuff. Right. I'm familiar vaguely with that game. The zombies definitely I needed the zombies there. I wasn't going to get it just from all these moody militaristic shots. 10 games down. We're doing okay. Oh, this looks like, this looks a lot like Hunt Showdown, I would have said. It's my best guess so far. So we're in some kind of slaughterhouse by the looks of it. We've got like animals hanging from here. Looks like a big red barrel of something that would explode if you shot it. So we're thinking shooter game. Except the setting looks a little horror-y. So a horror-y shooter. Well, maybe it's horror-y. Maybe I'm just being a scaredy cat and saying it looks scary. But a maybe horror-y shooter. This is a hard bunch, this 91 to 120. A lot of these very grisly brown looking games. Where I'm like, is it dust? Is it foggy? Is the world on fire? I don't know, but it looks like it would be unpleasant to breathe there. Oh, this probably should give me a little bit of information. Is that... I can't tell if it's a big paint, like Andy Warhol painting with 4 figures, or if it's a big, big window. It's a window for sure, right? With like a little barbed wire guardrail in it. So we're thinking probably apocalypse and zombies again. I think I'm going to need a bit more from that. I don't think I can narrow it down. Unless it's Dead by Daylight. This looks a little Dead by Daylight, does it not? We already had Dead by Daylight? Ah, Dead by Daylight, nice! I might have worked my way around to guessing that from this in the end, but this looks an awful lot like one of the Dead by Daylight maps I know to exist, that foresty one. Nice, I'm glad I thought about that early and decided to just give it a guess, because I did think we had that one already. I probably had just guessed it already, and that's why I thought as much. Nicely done, us. Next game, I recognize this. Almost definitely I recognize this. I'm thinking Uncharted 2? I'm thinking Uncharted 2. It is an Uncharted. Uncharted 1, then. I guess it'll be. Certainly not Uncharted 3 or 4. Nice. I knew I'd been there and I'd seen this exact place, and I could picture Nathan Drake pulling on a chain or something to make that gate go up. Sweet! Oh god, I don't like this already. It looks like we're in first person underwater. Actually, the sort of like pop filter colorful style of this makes me think Dishonored. Which is spelled without a U in the States. It's not Dishonored. Oh, okay, never mind, hold on. Oh god, I know what, is this? I swear I know this game. Second Sight? No, okay, I don't know this game. I can't tell what that's supposed to be from there. PC, PS3, X360. Sorry, I really lurched ahead into my guesses there from these first two. I was like, oh, this looks like Dishonored. Wait a minute, this looks like Second Sight. But this, I'm almost positive I've seen this as like a cutscene where you're like being interrogated. It makes me think of some kind of Call of Duty, but I'm, again, not an expert on those. I'm gonna say Modern Warfare 2. Not even a Call of Duty. Oh, God. Okay, not even close. Far Cry? I was certain I'd seen this cutscene before in like a top 10 video or something, and that it was from a Call of Duty, but this looks an awful lot like Far Cry, doesn't it, the setting? Wow, this is one of those rounds where like oh, it is Far Cry, it'll be Far Cry 3 then. Damn it, all those times I randomly guessed Far Cry on the other episodes in this series. The one time it's Far Cry, I'm like, oh, it's Second Sight. This was definitely one of those rounds where I was certain I knew what the game was every single round, and I was wrong each time. A lot like Party Animals whenever we got that, and I was like, oh, it's gotta be Prey. That was a tricky one. But I guess the Far Cry thing is because of their, like, they combine like a wilderness survival setting, a post-apocalypse setting, even though they're not post-apocalypse, but it looks like it could be from a glance because everything's kind of run down because you're usually in like really rural areas, and like a military setting with like, because you get a lot of guns in those games. They cover a lot of ground, which is why I always am guessing them and stuff. Okay, interesting. This is almost kind of having the vibe of like a Batman game, although this actually could even be Dishonored. It looks like we're in big, really miserable gray cities. I can't quite get a bead on the time period, although up here almost looks like a castle wall, doesn't it? How it kind of does like this toothy ridge shape. Then there's this like lamppost that doesn't look contemporary, but it doesn't quite look medieval, right? So I know I already guessed Dishonored, like 2 or 3 times in this video, but it feels so Dishonored to me. Boom! Redemption! What are the ones that would they have given us? Okay, I probably would have got Dishonored from that. We're in like the Outsiders, like weird parallel dimension. Is that a whale in the background? This is a map of one of the areas. There's the little what's-her-face. Princess Emily? Something like that. Here's some spooky guards, and then the last one's gonna be like, yeah, you with a crossbow and everything. Someday, we gotta go play Dishonored on the channel. This series is especially good for bringing up games that I remember we gotta play on the channel. Alright, so we're looking at something awful here. It's like a giant murder tank with spikes on the front, a big cannon and a smaller gun on top. This could almost be something like from Wolfenstein, but then it could be a lot of things also. Is this a person standing with like a big shield or something? No. I think Wolfenstein seems a decent bet. I don't know which one. New Colossus or the New Order or Youngblood or something. Let's try New Order. It's not Wolfenstein. We've got some military type people. Police. There's some pretty armed police. They look like they've got cybernetic enhancements. We're in some kind of contemporary city setting. Maybe it's Call of Duty? It looks a bit too sci-fi for that, doesn't it? Well, I suppose I don't know enough about Call of Duty to know. I thought it was usually a bit more grounded, but I suppose they have some sci-fi and fantasy stuff in there as well as some supernatural. I mean, there's an entire mode where you fight zombies. I think I'm gonna need more than that. Oh, this looks an awful lot like Metal Gear Rising, does it not? I mean, this looks like a Metal Gear character. It's like, we want them to look like a robot, but you want to be able to see their sexy muscles as well. This has to be Rising, right? Yeah. I wouldn't have got that from this, actually. This looks a lot more like moody horror, but then I've not played Rising. I guess I can see these being Metal Gear type guards. But yeah, this is the most Metal Gear Solid thing I've ever seen in my life. Next! 106. God, how many of these are just like the first thing is an establishing shot of a planet in space? It's like the 3rd time this has happened, and I never get it right. Halo. So that looks like that could be a ship, right? Wide ship with like a hook on the end. You don't suppose this is Alien Isolation, do you? It looks a bit too pretty for that. Alien Isolation's very creepy. Alien as a series is all about like the dangers of industrialism and stuff. People being turned into commodities and disposable tools. So this looks almost a little too exciting and happy for Alien Isolation. It looks a little too not alien-y enough for Halo, not scary enough for Dead Space, not weird enough for Star Wars. I don't know that there were many big Star Trek games that had this kind of visual style. I know it's not an Animorphs game, but when I keep looking at this ship and seeing the curved thing, and I'm like, it's a blade ship! Maybe just space hopeful enough for a Mass Effect? We already have Mass Effect 1, though, right? So maybe a Mass Effect 2? It's not a Mass Effect. Oh, this is looking a lot more blocky and stuff all of a sudden. No Man's Sky, or did we already have that? That's kind of the style I think of No Man's Sky as having. Unless it's Outer Worlds, although I think that was already in one of the earlier ones, wasn't it? Oh, this is all of a sudden way more colorful than anything I was imagining. From this shot here, this looks a lot more of like a realistic style, and this looks a lot more pretty and stylized and sort of cel-shaded and things. Although I'm not sure I have a good guess as to what particularly it is. I think I might need another screenshot. Genre action. Risk of Rain, maybe? Kind of looks like this. Risk of Rain 2? Nice. I only know a little bit about it, that it's kind of like spacey, and it's not exactly a shooter, is it? But it's like a big arena fighty thing, kind of. I wasn't going to guess that from any of these first three. I did definitely need that it was an action game, and like spacey, kind of futuristic sci-fi, but I needed the character to see that it was going to be like a kind of running around fighting game. I'm happy with myself that I got it once I had that information. Oh boy. So we're looking at some kind of like park tycoon game? We've got benches, we've got trees lining a path. Is it amusement park tycoon or whatever it's called? My amusement. Oh, there's gonna be so many amusement park tycoon games. Roller coaster tycoon is maybe the one I meant. The first one is oldish, right? Yeah, boom! That was a bit of a shot in the dark because there are no roller coasters in sight. But I was like, okay, a square-based tycoon game, something that's been around for a while because this looks a little older. Something where you'd be designing a public place for people to go and be in because there are benches and stuff. The benches are a cute little hint. That was very kind of them to give. I bet we'll see a roller coaster along the line here. I guess this could almost be like a roller coaster. It's more like a boat ride. Metacritic score too old for Metacritic. Here's a different hint. You probably got this game in a cereal box. I did not. I don't think I was around when that game came out. Sorry to say guess the game, but I'm glad I guessed it from that. That was a pretty good guess from my part. Probably the best guess I've made in this episode, which has been full of pretty rubbish guesses. Anyway, next one. Some kind of open world. This looks like Death Stranding. Probably. I think. I feel like some of this is being melted away by like the time juice or whatever. Yeah, Death Stranding. Okay, that one wasn't too hard. My first thought was Iceland, and I was like, oh right, well Death Stranding is based kind of on Iceland. And then I was like, this looks like the time rains, or time falls, is that what it's called? But like the rain that advances time for stuff. It looks like this place has been like unevenly aging. And so Death Stranding came to mind. Next! Once again, kind of keeping with the Death Stranding theme of beachings and stuff, we're looking at a beach here with some kind of seashell on it. This to me has the look of a pre-rendered cutscene for a game in the early 2000s. On the beach with a weird looking seashell though. I'm not quite sure. If it is a pre-rendered cutscene, this could be almost anything. Spyro, Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank. Those games all kind of like have naturalistic settings to them. Although the style doesn't look quite like, this doesn't look like the level of detail you'd see in sand for a Spyro game, does it? It looks rather nice. I'm gonna call it Crisis. Get another hint, please. Okay. Kingdom Hearts? This looks an awful lot like the thing we saw at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1, doesn't it? Which I guess would make this Kingdom Hearts 2 or something? Kingdom Hearts 2! Yeah! Because at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1, they give you this little preview of, like, in Kingdom Hearts 2, look out for, and then it, like, shows you this area. So I was like, I guess Kingdom Hearts, which we're actually going to be playing on the channel very soon. Sometime in the next few months, anyway, when we finish some of these other games, which we're quite near to the end of. Well, we're quite far along in Amber Throne, I would have said. Decently far along in Omori EX, and very far along in Celeste EX. So in the next few months, we're going to have a lot of games finishing, and Kingdom Hearts 2 ain't too far off. I can't believe I remember this from that end of game cutscene in Kingdom Hearts 1, although I suppose it's pretty hard to forget looking at it now. Next! Red Grave! Gar-Clamp Avenue, Archimedes Road? Archimedes? No, Archimedes. Very interesting. So it doesn't quite look... Oh, I don't know when this is supposed to take place or what. Dark moody skies almost make me think Batman again, except the architecture doesn't look like spooky and gothic enough really to be Batman. It's more like the time of day that I'm basing that on. And these names, Archimedes Road and Gar-Slamp Avenue, they feel very pointed and particular. Red Grave. This isn't Redfall, is it? We already guessed Redfall, I think. And maybe actually the 2022, Redfall wasn't out then, was it? My timeline of things is not good, especially for games in the past, like, 5 years. It doesn't look like a racing game. It feels like there's too much detail up. Although, I guess it's mostly lit around the ground. Which could lend credence to the theory of it being a racing game, but there's too much, like, detail and stuff around the sides for you to only be on the roads in this game, don't you think? One-way street sign. This sign looks reasonably modern, like, It could be from like the 70s or past it, so I don't think we're like in Assassin's Creed Syndicate or anything. But it doesn't look futuristic, so it's not quite like we're in, I don't know, Cyberpunk or anything either. Or like Watch Dogs. But it's not quite LA Noire, it's like beyond that, and also this looks a bit newer than that. I don't really have a good guess, I'm afraid. I think I need another shot of this. Oh, we're looking a lot more fantasy now, aren't we? Right. Haven't a clue. Xenoblade? No. This doesn't look like Xenoblade. Oh, this feels like it should tell me a lot. Well, it reminds me so strongly of Sylvalum in Xenoblade X, which is why my mind went to Xenoblade, I guess. And because Xenoblade has like urban areas as well. But this certainly is not the visual style of Xenoblade. But it almost looks like the fantasy style that an anime would have in particular, with all this like super overblown, like heaven and hell, Cthulhu-like imagery. It reminds me a lot, actually, of that. What was that anime game we had before where I guessed it was a Shin Megami Tensei and it wasn't? I don't know, maybe this is a Shin Megami Tensei 5. It's not a Shin Megami Tensei. PC, PS4, Xbox One, we got a big old... Oh, it's not Forspoken, is it? I think that's actually the only thing that makes sense at this point. Oh, no, it isn't. It isn't. Action adventure, though. It was probably a decent guess, considering we've got like a modern, could almost be like a New York street. Well, it looks a little more like European or something, doesn't it? And big fantasy monsters. Is it... I mean, I don't know. What kind of game has this big clash of genres like this? If only I remember, was it Code Geass or Geass? Was that the game? Because it looks very anime to me. Oh, Devil May Cry. Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. I guess this will be Devil May Cry release date 2019. That's Devil May Cry 5, surely. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, I haven't played it. I should have probably got that. It's like with the very pointedly named roads, huge dramatic fantasy stuff, monsters, gothic imagery. Devil May Cry was very much in the cards here, and I was just not thinking of it. Not that I've played any of them either. Nice. Okay, we're looking at a 64 game, I would wager, by the look of the resolution here. You can see that this is supposed to be a smooth edge, but you can see it go up by like 1 square each time. I almost wanted to say Majora's Mask, but the lighting does not quite seem right for that. Oh, and we already had Majora's Mask as well, didn't we? For some reason, it's making me think of Star Fox Adventures, but it doesn't quite look good enough for GameCube. In particular, my eye is drawn to the weird lighting on this. The fact that the lighting is not consistent from the floor to this wall here. That's one of a few things that's tipping me off that this is probably an older game. I'm thinking mid-90s. Very pretty blue area. I'm thinking like we're in some kind of big glacier or something. Makes me think a lot of Diddy Kong Racing, but we already had that, right? I've had a bad track record of knowing what games we've already had, so let me try and get Diddy Kong Racing. It looks a lot like the snow areas in that. 2 over Metacritic. Some kind of platformer, clearly. Not Diddy Kong Racing, in fact. I don't recognize it. So it's a good bet it's PS2 or Xbox, as I wasn't growing up with them. So we've got an area that looks pretty and icy, and we've also got an area covered in lava, so we're traveling between biomes quite a lot in this game. Once again, Spyro, Jak and Daxter, and the other one, Ratchet and Clank, are all coming to mind. Ratchet and Clank is a bit more sci-fi, though. This looks a bit more fantasy, which makes me think Jak and Daxter or Spyro. Could also be some way off-the-walls thing, like, I was saying PS2 earlier. Probably this is more like PS1 by the look of it. Could be some way off-the-walls thing like Rocket Robot on Wheels, I guess. I'm just going to put Rocket Robot on Wheels in, because if it's that, I will look like an absolute genius. Wasn't that? Oh, it'll definitely be Spyro then, because there's a dragonfly here. Okay, so that wasn't an awful guess when I had it. Just Spyro 1, maybe? It was Spyro the Dragon, which is Spyro 1. Good. Some decent technology work from me there to figure that out. I probably should have just guessed Spyro on this one, but I was like, what if it's Rocket Robot on Wheels? It's such a... what if it's something that obscure and I get it in one guess? Because that's kind of what happened with Glover, right? Okay, wow. Game 112, we've got some big floating island by the look of it. Kind of hard to tell from here if this is a two-dimensional style and that's a sprite way in the background, or if this is a big 3D model we can go around. Especially as there's like sort of like a haze filter over the whole thing. It looks like a snowy mountain with like a frozen volcano on it or something. It also looks like we're a very zoomed in screenshot. Like this could almost be like a little item that someone's holding over their head, rather than a big zoomed out shot of an area. Almost got like this hand painted style. It makes me think of the Amber Throne, which we're playing right now, but it's not that. I'm reasonably confident. I haven't got many good guesses though, because it's hard to tell from this shot if this is one item that actually represents the art style of the whole thing. And if it does, I don't actually even know what it would be then. This hand-painted style makes me think of like Don't Starve, but it's not quite that. Could almost be like an old RPG. The idea of like an island lifting out of the ground and going into the sky feels like such something like an old RPG would do. And you would see a cutscene of it like mode 7ing this island into the sky. I think I'm gonna need another shot here. Oh, Metacritic score 93%, a bunch of blue stars. Is it some kind of space exploration game then? We're looking at a starry sky with a bunch of stars in circles. What it makes me think of is the mission select screen from one of the Scribblenauts games. So could it be like a late Scribblenauts game, like Scribblenauts Unlimited? No, not quite, but we're on the track that it's like a nice, cute little hand-painted style. Original platform PS2. Oh, it's not Psychonauts, is it? It doesn't look like Psychonauts. Feed bag seeds. Some kind of farming sim? I'm not sure I know this one. Oh, except these little Japanese symbols here, what I think are Japanese symbols. This all of a sudden looks very much like Okami to me. Another game we have yet to play on the other channel. Yeah, this little like red swirly thing, that is the most Okami thing I've ever seen, having not ever played Okami. Wow, it's pretty. Gosh, I want to play it. I still haven't decided what I'll do for my next wildcard playthrough. Okami was on the hot list for one of the games, actually. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Very cool. Oh, this is a Bomberman game. This is Bomberman Hero. I've got that one down. Please be Bomberman Hero. Yay! That one I played a fair bit of, so I recognize the bomb jacket. I think this is the jacket that protects you from your own blasts. I recognize the score menu, trying to get that 5 out of 5 score, and I recognize the little arrows pointing to the exit. And recognize the moving platforms, I recognize all of it. Oh, I feel like I should know this. It makes me think It Takes Two is the first thing I'm thinking of, although I played that through and I don't remember a part specifically like this. I don't remember like a Wild West chapter. Okay. So what we're looking at here, unless it's like Yoshi's Woolly World or something, because everything looks like it's a sort of paper craft, right? Like these are like sort of like they're cut out of wood blocks. These cacti look kind of like they've been like knitted together or whatever. But the lighting and stuff looks a little too good for Woolly World, because that was a Wii U game, right? Which is It Takes Two is just ringing in my ears. I can't ignore it. I have to try it. What it looks like is that kind of 8-hour family-oriented kind of experience. It's not It Takes Two. Little Nightmares, perhaps? It doesn't look dark enough for that. Okay, I'm not recognizing this anymore. I'm glad I didn't guess Yoshi's Woolly World, though. Because it ain't that. Very much has the look of like a family puzzle style game. Metacritic score of 95. Not so easy to get. I'm thinking side-scroller, because it looks like we have like this... Well, a bunch of platforms of the same width, right? Or a bunch of marbles and stuff up here. Some kind of puzzle game like the Wizardry games, or it almost makes me think of Create, but it's not that, because that's not quite a puzzle game. Or like Moss or something. I don't have a good guess at the moment. Original platform PS3. Oh, well, a game that looks like Yoshi's Woolly World that's about being creative. Little Big Planet, surely. Gotta be, right? Why is Little Big Planet not in this list? Is that not what it's called? Or is it one word, like a little big? Oh, I see. Yeah, good. I probably should have gotten that from this, because I was like, it looks like it's been hand-stitched, like Yoshi's Woolly World. Like an idiot, instead of being like, like Little Big Planet. Well, Yoshi's Woolly World wasn't a horrible guess here, but It Takes Two is probably a better one. Right. Not played that either. Okay, it looks like to me we're looking at an open world game where we're looking at some plants. The first thing it made me think of was Skyrim, because this is an awful lot like what we were looking at when we got Skyrim in, I think it was the previous episode of this. It's going to be a bit of a longer episode, this one, than the past few we've done, because these ones are thunkers. A lot of these ones. I'm having a rough time guessing a lot of these. We've got some very nice looking shadows. So I'm thinking it's no earlier than 2010. The detail on the grass is not especially high, which is part of what makes me say it's open world. It's not like they could really set a lot of effort into making one particular environment look perfect. So that tells me they're making a lot of environments. That tells me open world. The setting I'm having a hard time getting a bead on, because this set of shadows looks almost like a giant spidery monster or something, right? So it could be like some big monster hunter or some other big fantasy thing. But the rough texture of the ground and like the sort of very pared back, toned down nature of the different plant life feels very grounded and real to me. So something that's got a lot of realism and a lot of fantasy in it, perhaps. It's the first guess, so if I don't know it, I have to make some pretty big leaps generally. I don't know, Final Fantasy 14? We guessed that earlier. Probabilistically speaking, every time we guess it, we have a greater chance of being correct. Oh my god! Wait, Final Fantasy 14 is the one with Noctis. That's 15, isn't it? 14 is the MMO. Good thing I remembered that wrong, because it was exactly Final Fantasy 14. That was some decent guesswork I pulled there in trying to rectify the sort of realistic setting with the sort of fantastical looking environment. Did they show us what those shadows were from in the next screenshot? They don't. I wouldn't necessarily guess Final Fantasy from this, though. Wow, cool. That was a pretty solid guess on my part. Ooh, okay. PS1, unfiltered texture-y, kind of. It's not quite Doom, is it? Unless it's like Doom 2. And that looks a little different, and I just don't know. Some of mine is like Quake? Did we already have Quake? Quake! Alright, here we go. This is the pace I like to see. Let's get a few more of... That is so pretty. It also kind of makes me think of Kingdom Hearts, actually, but we just had Kingdom Hearts 2. But it feels like I could see someone looking out over from the Destiny Islands at this. Except, no, the art style's a little too realistic or something. For some reason, my mind is going to Tekken. And I think it's just because there's that one stage in Tekken Tag Tournament 2 where you're like on a very glassy water surface. And I'm not having any better guesses than that, so let me go Tekken. Okay, my. So we have some big computers and stuff. Oh, wow. These are two very different screenshots painting us a very different picture of the world. It's saying time? What's the game? Time Stoppers? Time Force? Super Time Force, Power Rangers Time Force. I think Super Time Force is the one I was thinking of. Not that. PC. Exclusive, originally anyway. Oh my, this is very strange. A beautiful, beautiful sunset. Whole bunch of like computer terminals and stuff. This looks like a bunch of like servers plugged in one after the other. So we've got a futuristic-ish setting, but then there's this huge old chapel. For some reason I'm tempted to say No More Heroes, but it doesn't quite seem like that, right? This looks a little too realistic for No More Heroes, which is a bit more like pop filter colory. I mean, this to me looks like Dark Souls 3. This to me looks like a James Bond game. And this to me looks like Kingdom Hearts. I haven't got a clue what we're looking at here, to be honest. I don't think I'm going to get it without another picture, please. Genre puzzle. Oh, this is Myst then, maybe? Isn't Myst a little older than this? This looks a little too good for Myst. Didn't we already guess Myst? Let's say Myst. Oh, there's more than one Myst game. Myst 4 Revelation, of course. It's not Myst 4 Revelation. 2014 Jane? Jam? We have some kind of big camera here. Oh, crap. I'm not sure I know this one. Superliminal? Maybe? It's not that. It's a robot-y game. Crotam. Don't think I know it. The Talos Principle. I see. I've heard that one's quite well liked. I didn't realize it was like a puzzle game. Somehow I thought it was some big like fantasy action game. I don't know much about Talos Principle. There's a YouTuber I follow named Storpy. does a lot of horror games and other little things here and there. I believe he's said on one or more occasions that the Talos Principle is his favorite video game, unless I'm thinking of someone else. I've definitely heard of it anyway. I never knew what it looked like before now, but I mean, holy crap. Apparently I have to play it. Look at this. It's about robots and stuff, I guess. This is the Stanley Parable. It's so nice when we get one that we've played on the channel like weeks before. The number of times I had to climb up that thing, I sure as heck recognize it. What are the screenshots what they have given us? That one's a little more trickier. I think this is the broom closet, but I'm not quite sure. This is when you're following the line. Tips for not getting fired. Talk less, do unbelievably amazing work all the time, every day with no expectation of promotion or recognition. Don't get fired. This one's is extremely telling. This is like the proper main office, but you go through several times, and then employee 427's job was simple. Nice, only 2 more. Let's wrap this up nice and tidy. Oh, this isn't gonna be wrapped up nice and tidy. I don't know what this is. Makes me think It's not quite Minecraft. We already had it also. Makes me think Trove, makes me think Antechamber. Too much color for Antechamber, so I'm gonna go Trove. Unless it's... Oh, maybe I don't know this one. Let's just type duck. Duck Game, I think, is the one where you're all ducks and you fight each other, right? So I don't think it's that. Duck Dynasty? The duck may have nothing to do with it, but this feels like a player character somehow. Duck Maze. I would say Duck Dynasty, probably. Oh, okay, never mind, hold on. Oh, hang on, maybe it is actually that game where you play as ducks and fight each other. But it looks too 3D for that. I thought that was a 2D game, but this looks 2D. Wait, maybe it literally is Duck Game. No. Oh, no. Oh, okay, I know what this one is, but I don't know the name. This is the one where you turn the world around to like solve. It's a puzzle game, as it says. It's like a platformer, but you can turn each world. You play it in a 2D. I'm not explaining this very well. You play it in a 2D space, but it does have 3 dimensions to it, and you can turn the whole world like 90 degrees at will to like see another side of it. It kind of like Super Paper Mario. I just don't know what it's called. Cubes, Rubik's Cube, The Cube, GT Cube, Magic Cube, Geom Cube, Cube Zone, Cube Life, Raspberry Cube, The Last Cube, Cube Life. A lot of games with Cube in the title, apparently. Cube Shift? Oh, I'm almost positive it's that game of perspective shifting. Does it have perspective in the name? It does not. That's bleak that there are no games with the title including perspective. Block... Ultimate Block Party, Block Quest Maker... Blockland... Dancing Blocks, Puzzle Adventure, Blockle, Block Kids, Groove and Blocks. I don't think I'm gonna guess my way to the name of it, unfortunately. Polytron Corporation, the drum's got a P on it, so I guess it could have P in the title. Oh, Fez. Okay, I definitely knew this. I'm pretty sure this is the game I'm thinking of where you like turn the world around for different perspectives. I did not know it was called Fez. But I guess it is because your character's got a little fez on their head. And that was meant to be the big clue of this 6th one, is that you can see the fez a bit more clearly. Didn't realize that was what that game was called. Okay, come on. Game 120. Can we pull it together for one last one that we do real well? Amnesia. Surely. Amnesia the Dark Descent. Right? Yeah! Oh, it's always so nice when we end on one that I know right off the bat. Boom! And that's one we ought to play on the channel as well. Sweet! Actually, we only outright failed 4 of them, which is way fewer than I had expected. So I didn't do horribly there, but I felt pretty confident on a lot of those guesses. And I would say in the majority of them took me 3 or more guesses in the end, so... Certainly not our strongest showing, but actually could have been a lot worse, all things considered. It only stands to reason that it would get harder as it goes along, because as it goes along there are more games, and more modern games that I haven't played. But there we have that, not bad. All in all, not an awful showing from us. If you played along with me, feel free to let us all know how you did down you-know-where. If there were any that you were surprised I got so fast, or if there were any where you were like, how did you not know it was Fez? I'm sorry, I didn't know it was called Fez. And I'll be back for games 121 to 150 sometime down the line. I usually like to schedule the next Guess the Game for about a month ahead. Since we're playing about 30 games, it makes sense to do it about every 30 days. However, that said, what I'm doing is I'm slotting in the first available point in the schedule, which at this juncture, I believe is sometime in February. Ditto goes for Hat in Time. So I think the next of these will not be happening till February, which is about 2 months away, rather than just 1 and a bit. Simply because I had a lot of other videos scheduled in that time. But that was well and good fun. I sure do love playing this game. The next video on the channel is going to be some more of the Amber Throne, and that's all for now. Thank you so very much for coming around. Hopefully I'll see you around. Admiral's going to be out of here now. Peace! Must return immediately.
Must you?
Dark days are brought on us, wolves. A vibrant flame dances north. The Seer raise everything. You'll surely find there's not much left to cover after all.
Why are you telling this to us? We're not the ones who are trying to take